Good morning, friends. It's Bob with another Daily Devo. We've been on this journey together for since March. And basically, I started the Daily Devos because I wanted to be able to input into your lives and just encourage you in the midst of these uncertain times. But the uncertain times have gone on and on and on and on. And over time, I've just wrestled with the effectiveness of this and whether this is still scratching an itch or whether it's not. And so, in talking with a number of people and in praying, I'm going to just rein it in a little bit more and not do as many, not do an everyday, type of a daily Devo, but I'll still be probably weighing in twice a week on that and doing a Facebook Live on Tuesdays so that instead of doing the 5 days a week, because at this point in time, it basically puts me with the Sunday morning service in 6 days worth of input that I'm giving. And I just not sure that that's actually the constructive thing for everybody involved. So with all of that said, I want to just be able to say I'm looking at probably doing a Facebook Live on Tuesday and then doing a Wednesday morning thing and then maybe a Friday morning thing. But if you just stay tuned, I love you. I'm praying for you. I'm with you in this whole thing. But in terms of me posting, videos pretty much every day, I'm going to curtail that a little bit. But I really appreciate you tuning in throughout this whole thing. I still love you. I'm still praying for you. I'm still walking with you. Today, I want to just draw your attention to one particular passage, and that is in Isaiah 8. In Isaiah 9, that's the passage that we always read at Christmas time, for unto us a child is born. But the passages in Isaiah are all addressing a real life situation that the Israelites are going through at the time. And in this particular case, a big, gnarly army called Assyria is encroaching on and is going to invade Israel. And Isaiah's passages are written with that as the backdrop. And interestingly, in chapter 8, kind of getting a running start into that chapter 9, in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned, which I'm going to be talking about on Sunday. With all of that said, the setup in chapter 8 is pretty interesting. Here's where in verse 18 of chapter 8, it goes like this. Isaiah writes this: "Here I am with the children the Lord has given me to be signs and wonders in Israel for the Lord of armies, or the Lord Almighty, who dwells in Mount Zion. When they say to you, inquire of the mediums and the spiritists who chirp and mutter," he's talking about the occult people and, looking for signs and looking for, relief from all these other different outlets besides the Lord. Shouldn't a people, he says, when they inquire of mediums and spiritists who chirp and mutter, shouldn't a people inquire of their God? Should they inquire of the dead on behalf of the living? Go to God's instruction and testimony. That's the word that God revealed through the law and the prophets. If they do not speak according to this word, if these other outlets do not speak according to this word, then they have no light of dawn. There will be no dawn for them. And then he says, here's the kind of the thing that ends up happening if we listen to all these other voices besides the Lord's voice. It says they will wander through the land dejected and hungry. And when they are famished, they will become enraged and looking upward will curse their king and their God. And capital G, God, Yahweh. And they will look toward the earth and see only distress and darkness and gloom of affliction, and they will be driven into thick darkness. And I think I see that in a lot of people at this point in time as they look around and they curse the people, their brother, and they curse God in this whole thing, that there's an aggravation because this has just been a very trying time for us. And in the midst of all this, the Lord says, in this, consult of me. Talk to me about this. Don't all these other voices are trumping my voice in this. I want you to consult me on this and what I say about these things. And when we go back to the Lord, then we actually can see where the Isaiah 9 passage actually comes in. But, on those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned, for unto us a child is born. That God answers in person in this process, and that the Lord is going to answer us in the midst of this pandemic and the uncertainty and everything that we're going through. And we need to re-anchor ourselves and trust him. But I want to ask you the question from this passage. Israel is going through something that they feel very uncertain, and they want some input, and they will go anywhere to get the input. Where are you going for your input? What are you trusting in? What is gaining traction in your own soul? And I want to challenge that and say, let the Lord be the primary voice. I'm not saying don't read anything, don't read any medical journals or watch any news or anything like that, but let the voice of God, let the testimony that God has provided through the scriptures be the primary thing that anchors your soul, because all of these other things actually don't anchor your and my soul. And in this time, we need that anchor, don't we? So I want to challenge you with that today. I want to ask you that you would go and open up Isaiah chapter 8 and 9 and read those two chapters and ask the Lord. Let those two chapters sink in, because there's a lot of things in there. The context of what's happening when Isaiah is writing this, there's a lot of things in there, I think, that speak to our situation in terms of what's going on inside of us. The situation outside of us is very different, but the thing inside of us is very similar. And I want to ask you to read it slowly and reflectively, and ask the Lord. The Lord says in this one, I want you to inquire of me. I don't want you to inquire of all these other sources. Inquire of me. Ask me. James actually comes up with the whole thing. When you're going through various trials and different things, ask God, who gives wisdom generously. Ask him. Ask him of these things. And really, James is talking about not just asking God anything, but asking God about what they're going through. Ask God, and the Lord will lead you. But anchor in to what God has said, not what everybody else is saying. Thanks so much for joining me today and for walking with me on this journey. We'll continue to walk this together, just not quite every day like it has been. I love you. I'm praying for you. God bless you.